Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Casting the Spotlight CapeCon 2025 for their 20th anniversary.
20th anniversary of the con, third anniversary for us.
Third time.
Yeah.
So we're trying to bring a little bit of magic here to the con in podcast form today. Hopefully we can deliver that.
Yeah, I mean, these things are a blast pretty much every year.
Oh yeah, our third time. I feel like we've done a fairly good job, and like obviously on our end, for the past year we've kept up. We just hit our milestone 200.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing.
I feel like honestly, since we started coming to the cons, we've probably kept up better with the podcast, just because it was kind of like that little kind of shift. You know, it's like, oh, we could gain a bit of an audience from being live streamed from a Comic-Con, so we should probably.
Oh yeah. Well, and like we've been here every year that the basically the pod lounge has been instated, like from the annual year of 2023 up till now, and it's an honor to be here. So we'll just get that out of the way right now. Thank you very much for having us again.
Thank you.
Thanks for everybody that's listening in, sitting in the audience. I know Gene's over there just minding his business.
Our boy Gene, our doorman.
Yeah. Oh man, so I guess a lot's going on the past since the last time we were here. I mean, we just got off horror season, which we always pick. A lot of the great beloved franchises that we like to watch, listen to. Mm-hmm. We go through most of those big ones and put together like a list every year from like towards the end of August through most of October and a little bit into November, and just put as much as we can away.
Just really. Rot our minds for a couple of months in some very dark content.
Oh, like horror, you mean? Yeah. I mean, a lot of people see it like that, but a lot of people are like, "Oh, these are great movies," and they are.
I mean, they're a lot of fun, but even as a fan of horror, like I will admit that it feels like if that's all you're watching, like after a while, it does just kind of start to warp your perception. Yeah. You're like, man, I gotta watch a comedy movie or something.
Yeah, it does. It's always great to go back to like some of the sequels, and I know this year like we both watched some of the not as favorable Halloween movies.
Yeah,
that a lot of people will either talk up or talk down about. But I mean, I don't know. What did you think going back and like rewatching 4, 5, and 6?
I don't know. I mean, especially with horror, just being a fan, and there's so many franchises in horror. It's like I'm a completionist at heart, so I'm like I have to watch every movie and every series. So obviously there's going to be lesser than if so I think 4, 5, and 6, the Thorn trilogy, is probably
towards the lower half of the series. That's
the
worst.
For sure.
Yeah.
But they're still enjoyable around the Halloween season, I'd say. Like I still got a kick out of them. Danielle Harris is in there. Little Danielle Harris.
Yeah. I would say horror is obviously one of the biggest subjects we talk about on this podcast. We talk a lot of like TV show, a lot of superhero stuff, a lot of like professional wrestling. Brody King's obviously here today for the wrestling audience that knows him. So we follow AEW and WWE pretty, I guess, religiously, I would say, for the most part. So been doing like a lot of live shows, so that's one of the biggest things for us too to bring to this podcast. And we'll have specials like a WrestleMania pod, invite a bunch of our friends, and SummerSlam, try to predict the card and try to predict like a lot of the layout of what we think is going to happen.
Yeah, those are honestly some of the most fun shows. A lot of the times is just getting a group of friends together that are like-minded as you and just talking about your favorite subjects.
Oh yeah,
wrestling. Yeah.
What's your opinion on where wrestling is today?
At this moment, it's like I know the natural progression of storylines have to take place before the lead up to the road to WrestleMania with Royal Rumble and everything, and then around that time things start to pick up a little bit, I would say. Right now, it's the biggest thing going, I feel like, is Survivor Series. And of course, you can't talk about it this year without talking about John Cena's retirement at the end of the year, which everybody knows is going to be a huge thing. Who do we think he's going to wrestle in the final match? Anybody have a guess?
Yeah,
it probably will be.
Too.
Yeah, that's.
Gunther was Goldberg's last match. You think we give him another?
He's the modern day legend killer. You know, he's gonna start retiring people.
I feel like
Part of his gimmick.
he has the credibility to make it a worthwhile and great storyline going into Cena's last match. And we all know that like the greats usually go out on their back, like meaning they lose at the end. Like Stone Cold's initial match, he lost to The Rock. The Rock eventually put over Cena, even though he came back. Like a lot of the greats, Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair, all the same thing. So I would think if Gunther faces Cena, that would be what happens. If I was a betting man.
Yeah, more likely than not, he is losing that final match. It's gonna kill part of my childhood to see him go out on his back. But I mean, that's wrestling, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like most of the time you should go out on your back. There's very few guys that should lose or should win in their retirement match. Rather, like it's kind of just like passing it on to the next generation. You know, giving them that credible win.
Yeah, that's what I would say too. I think it serves a better purpose if it's somebody that's credible enough to beat a name like John or any of those people we said like retired. I think it's kind of the right thing to do in most circumstances. Like somebody like The Undertaker, I didn't think because he had such a winning history, he didn't have to lose his last match. But I can see like why that would be, you know, presented as something that might happen. But obviously we know that it didn't go perfectly. He wanted to have his last match, didn't go great, wanted a tag team match. Oh, will this be it? And then, you know, but see, the longer I feel like you put it off, the less capable certain guys might be of performing at that level that you once remembered them for.
Ask Ric Flair. Ask Ric.
He was the guy that never had a retirement match, and like Terry Funk had like 14 or 17 retirement matches, and then he lost his eye in like 14 of them.
Well, I mean that's Terry Funk though.
Yeah.
Terry Funk. It just feels right that in his retirement match he should lose an eye. You know, it's Terry freaking Funk, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, I guess. I mean, Punk was newly crowned champion. I guess recently. We're waiting 2 years for that to happen. I guess if you're a Punk person, a lot of people aren't. I don't know, Gene. Were you happy about Punk retaining the title? Yeah, he was.
You know,
he's a Punk guy.
I will say, as a Seth Rollins guy, all it took was Seth Rollins getting hurt for CM Punk to get the belt.
Yeah,
you know? I feel like Punk probably would have picked up the belt from Rollins, probably at like Mania, but they definitely pushed along this Vision storyline and everything because Rollins got hurt. Like he was probably going to have Braun and Bronson and Paul by his side through the Mania season, and now we're not going to get to see any of that, so that's kind of a bummer. But that's wrestling, you know. You can't ever predict too far in the future.
Where you guys at with some people have been experiencing Cody fatigue, constant push, never really kind of putting anybody over, anything like that? Are you still on this Cody train, or are you starting?
I think the demand for that has lessened from what I've seen, but it like everybody was like, okay, well let's be eager about giving Cena his last run and then putting the belt back on Cody. But by the time they put it back on Cody, it didn't necessarily feel like there was a plethora of great heels for Cody to face. And that was one thing I was like, this is why a lot of the times you listen to somebody like Kevin Nash, who's not right about a lot of things, but he's also right about a lot of things too. Whenever he said it's better when there's a face challenger chasing a champion heel. And most of the time that is absolutely right. Like there's guys that people still really enjoyed, like their face reigns, like Cena, like Rock, like Stone Cold, like people like that. But then, you know, if you don't have enough guys to deliver them, it's same as like any of these movies or shows. If you don't have a villain that's kind of being built in the meantime, that's credible enough to like be a threat to the hero, how interested in the story are you going to be? That's why motivation has to be good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just easier to tell a compelling story if it's the good guy on the chase, you know, like the bad guy's kind of ruling over. He's like the tyrant, finding the easy, cheap way out all the time. And then once you finally give that good guy the victory, it like feels so much more earned then. That's the thing with Cody. I don't think that I have any dislike for Cody. Like I think he's a decent character. He's a good wrestler. he's not necessarily like one of my favorites on the roster currently, but like it makes sense that he is the face of the company because he's like very much the business guy. Like he's going to do the right thing by the company. So it makes sense that he would be the face. But yeah, maybe it's just because I'm older now and I kind of look through wrestling through a different lens. But it does feel like compared to like when Cena was champ for a while or like just previous face champions that, yeah, they're running out of compelling storytelling for Cody as a champ. Like there's just not, like you were kind of saying, there's just not a whole lot of like top heels in the company now. Like there's like Drew, there's Gunther, there's, I guess Seth's hurt, there's the Vision. But like outside of that, and they're tied up with Punk, so I just don't really know what you do with them being on SmackDown too. Like, not that I'm saying SmackDown's necessarily the lesser brand, but it's kind of the lesser brand.
It's been booked that way as of late. Yeah, I think that's fair.
Raw got that Netflix deal, and they're like, we don't care about you, SmackDown.
Well, because whenever SmackDown got that Fox deal from 2019 through 24, like they clearly favored that brand for the most part through those years, So I think it's definitely trying to like please the advertisers, to put on a better product. And like, that's why when there's actual competition, like as soon as AEW was starting to rise, that was when the audience started making more noise for WWE. And I don't know if like just passion incites passion on another side, like, somebody's, we've seen that obviously, like if people build a certain thing up, then there's going to be an equal opposition to that at the same time. That's just what always happens with everything. And I feel like once AEW got some legs under them and they started getting like ex-WWE guys and people like Punk that had been retired for years, like they started getting other names, like WWE started to finally pick up their game, whether or not they're competing the same way. They're not competing head to head. So it's not like the WCW, WWF thing, but it is, I feel like they definitely changed the energy and the landscape of wrestling, which, I mean, Cody is, I have to give it to him in that sense because he's credited with that in large part, because without him leaving and going over there to help establish that brand, we probably wouldn't even be looking at wrestling in the place that it's at right now that we are, And so he's kind of had a huge effect in this era on both companies.
Yeah,
after coming back,
and he's a founder of AEW, and now he's like the face of WWE. So it is like, it feels like wrestling fandom though is like so toxic. It's like, why can't you just, whether you're an AEW fan or you're a WWE fan, like wrestling fans, like they don't care, which brand you like more. Like just like wrestling. Like there's great wrestlers in both companies, so. It's kind of, yeah.
I know you guys were like talking about horror in the beginning.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this year as far as more of your horror thriller movies? Like, do you think the genre's on a rise or is it kind of dying out?
I think in general, like the 2020s, it feels like horror's been one of the best genres in film, really. Like there's been a lot of original stories, a lot of horror movies consistently in theaters. It just, like it feels like a lot of the other genres, like they're not really releasing comedies much anymore. A lot of the action movies and stuff like that are remakes of things we've already seen. So like, yeah, it feels like the decade of the 2020s, it almost feels like horror is the genre that's kind of defined film, I feel like, in a way.
Yeah, I will say there's more like original horror movies being made now than a lot of the other genres. Like we kind of witnessed, whether it was quietly or loudly 7, 8, 9 years ago, sort of the death of the R-rated comedy for the time being, because I feel like we just have not gotten that, and anything willing to like cross certain lines and to actually, give people, oh shoot, I can't believe they put that in this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're not releasing National Lampoon movies anymore.
Yeah. well, and that wasn't even rated R, but like you just, you want everything to get back to a place where like they can create original content, and that original content can become iconic rather than use the iconic stuff and just beat it to death. You know what I mean? And that, and a lot of people nowadays don't care about it, but like as a creative minded person, like I would love to see the things that you grew up, having a love for not be, kind of ushered into a place where like, oh man, like I'm sick of seeing this. You know what I mean? I don't want things to lose their creative integrity because they've gone on too long. And I'm wondering, like, I'm speaking of horror, I'm excited about, I don't know if you saw the new Scream trailer, Scream 7. It looks good. And I'm a big Nev Campbell, like Sidney Prescott, like her character fan. But we talked about it in like recent weeks, is like one of the, basically the formula that they use that nobody else had, because they were the ones to kind of break the fourth wall in a way and just be like, acknowledge all the horror cliches in one series. They started creating their own formula after doing that. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, at what point does this end, or does it go as long as, Friday the 13th, Halloween, where they have 12, 13, 14 installments? You know what I mean? No, and I don't want to see that either.
Honestly, it almost feels like it is cool that they're doing a 7th one, because we might get Stu. We've had Billy, at least Billy Spirit, in like 5 and 6, but it almost feels like they should just wrap it up after 7. Like, bring the original cast back, get Sydney, get Gail.
They already did Dewey dirty, though.
Yeah. Some people didn't hate that. I thought that was a fumble, though.
It was.
I thought Scream 5 in general was a fumble, but
I think a lot of the, societal changes, of course, like last 5-10 years, 15 years, there's certain things obviously needed to take place, but I think eventually we got to a place where everybody was a little bit, they pulled back, because they're like, maybe this is not stuff that'll either sell or B, maybe it'll be offensive to the people that we're trying to have like come see the movie, but it's like, I think there's a way to do it to not, because I'm kind of with you on that. Like, they went from basically producing tons of them every year to just nothing. Like, and now there's nothing coming out as far as like a theatrical release that's actually like a raunchy, fun comedy. You know what I mean?
It's all streaming services now, because I think people are worried about like it's just not going to turn a profit, because of, I think, the way that Hollywood itself kind of is now, and just the way that they view society as being. They don't want to put funding into those movies to probably lose money. At least that's probably what they think. I don't necessarily agree with that.
No, I guess that's part of it too, is I think the societal changing aspect of it that I said, and I also think the streaming changed it, but they don't want to invest, it feels like, in unproven commodities when they're like, well, we've got Star Wars over here. We've got Marvel over here. We've got, all these other properties, Lord of the Rings. We can invest in those that already have a fandom. But the problem is the real and true fans, in my view, want the properties that we love and care about to retain their integrity. And how do they retain integrity? Don't just produce quality over quantity. You know what I mean? Instead of just writing a script, first one, just make it into a movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're like running all these franchises and fandoms somewhat into the ground. Cough, cough, Disney is pretty much the one doing that. And I mean, I can't say I blame them, though, because it's like they paid so much money for all these properties and got them under their umbrella. So they're going to use them. They're going to make movies. They're going to make shows. They got their own streaming service, but it is going to tire the fandoms out eventually if you don't just start doing original stuff. Like, the reason that some of that stuff is so good is because, it's like there's a big nostalgia aspect with a lot of people. Where like, just the Lord of the Rings were great for a long time because it was those 3 movies. That was the spectacle, And I haven't watched any of the Rings of Power, so I can't really comment on that. But
it does feel like, we talked about this a few episodes ago on Casting a Spotlight, and it does feel like we are in a place that's like become the nostalgia era, and we've been in that place for like the last probably at least 6, 7, 8 years maybe. And we've seen it in wrestling, we've seen it in movies, shows, everything that they're like, oh man, this generation who's now grown up and in their 30s and 40s and whatnot. Now basically they're like, oh, well, let's just interject different people that they grew up with to pull them, persuade them to come back to see our thing. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there was a lot of people that came back to wrestling that like I wanted to see back, but they're like, oh, let's give Goldberg another run. Let's give this person another run. Let's get, you know what I mean? It's runs. And then like, you know, you saw in like Wolverine and Deadpool, they're like, well, let's bring Wesley Snipes back as Blade. Let's bring Hugh Jackman back, even though everybody was like very much happy from what I could tell with Logan. And they're like, well, I don't want to see it betrayed in a way that we're bringing him back just to sell this movie. I don't want that to betray the storyline. And they did it in a way that they're like, well, this is a multiverse now. Like once Thanos opened up the multiverse, we can kind of get away with doing this and justify it that way. And I'm like,
that was such a cheat
that's
code.
that's a behind the back door way of doing it.
But
But
it's a multiverse. Anything can happen.
yeah, but that same thing. I mean, it did give us Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin again. It did give us the best movie nostalgia post Endgame, I think, in the Marvel sphere that we got, which was Spider-Man: No Way Home, and a lot of people loved that one. You know, and Andrew Garfield. So like we're kind of reliving what 20 years ago, 25 years ago just tickled us, and we're like, oh man, I'd love to see this again. They played right into that, and then they interjected all those people. I'm not saying that was because we all bought it, we all watched them, you know, for the most part.
This is specifically the kind of crowd that they were targeting too, like grown kids, you know, people that are coming to Comic-Cons because they have fandoms for things that they loved so much. They're like, oh man, I want to be around anything that involves this. Yeah. They're like, we can get these grown nerds back easy, man. Just we're bringing, I'm surprised they haven't done it with like, I mean, I guess they tried with Ninja Turtles and stuff like that, but really, I'm almost surprised there's not more. Like, Power Rangers, how did that not succeed? Oh, I thought that one was actually pretty good.
Did anybody see Power Rangers?
Yeah.
The movie? The 2017 one.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, though.
I did too. Bryan Cranston is a villain. That should have worked. Oh, man. No,
I can play anything.
I think we're going through that era, but the problem is this goes directly in line with when we were talking about original content too, because there's going to be a time, and I think we're approaching it soon, where the nostalgia well is going to dry up, and we're ready for new, fresh content that we should have been getting all along. Yeah.
That's like why I kind of gave the flowers to horror earlier, because like you can still find so much originality and original stories in that. They might use tropes that are common within the genre, but there's constantly original stories coming out in horror. And you just... Disney, man. Disney ruined film. You heard it here first.
What was that? That's true. Yeah, see, like if everybody's got, you know, like they made those Saw movies for like $1 million or $2 million, and then they made 35 off of them. So it's just like, well, you can make a huge, you know, turnout of people like just, you know, investing in a movie like that. But that's actually a good call.
It almost feels like, like comedies. You could make comedies cheap too, but like we were kind of saying earlier, people just don't want to make comedy. I also feel like part of it is there's not really like comedy stars. There used to be comedy stars, you know. There was Will Ferrell, like Will still does stuff, but like Jim Carrey and Sandler, like they had like a heyday.
The other ones grew up in an unfunny world, so they just didn't get cast in movies.
And now a lot of like stand-up comedians that they could or like comedic actors that they could convert to starring in their own movies, it just doesn't happen. It feels like they tried to do it with Chappelle, like in the early 2000s. You know, he got a couple movies and stuff, and he just gave up on it. Half Baked, man. Half Baked was great.
Oh, man. I guess Happy Gilmore 2 came out since the last time we did a con.
Streaming, you know,
loved it.
Yeah.
And then 20 years later, they're like Zoolander 2.
Tanked.
Yeah. Well, and that's 100. I appreciate it because I was like, I knew that it wasn't just going to. I never even thought to compare it to the original. But my thing was, and that's the first thing certain people do. But it's like you're just watching it as a movie. Like maybe you didn't grow up with it and love it and cherish it like the way that I was like, you know, I was a big Adam Sandler fan, and I was like, well, that was my favorite movie for a very long time for his movies. So I was like, I'll watch the new one and like I got a kick out of it. I thought it was a great compliment to the original. Didn't need to be better than the original. Just brought back a lot of the old people. Of course, it got absurd like they all do because they had to jam like 60 cameos into like 2 hours.
It was such a cameo fest of a movie, but that almost made it kind of fun.
They did it in a way that like, you know, as far as comedy goes, they did it in a way that like they interjected everybody in a way that made sense. I feel like just for a little spot, and then it continued the story. You know, it wasn't perfect, but I laughed the whole time. You know, that's why I was like, I wanted to just be in the moment and enjoy it. And I have not rewatched it since. But it's because I wanted to soak up that first experience. Yeah.
I think it's honestly going to do really good.
Yeah.
Because, again, it's hopefully they cross it.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
But I think it's going to draw a lot of people back in because they know the weigh-ins are tied back to it. So that's immediately just going to bring people back because they like, it's like, oh, the original guys are doing it. It kind of goes back to the nostalgia thing a little bit again, but also the fact that there was a few scary movies that came out later that were just not great. So people kind of have a little more hope for this one.
Those are like the original, some of the original parody kind of movies that actually were successful, like Shaun of the Dead. Tremendous. Like there were certain things in the early 2000s that hit things right on the mark of like sort of making fun of it while being its own thing at the same time, like while having its own entity, you know? Yeah. I think it certainly could be good. I think it'd be better if they got to a place where like, oh man, like if you're kind of like, oh shoot, I can't believe they said that in the movie. But it's like at the end of the day, it's art. You know what I mean? It's a film, it's a story, it's a book, it's music. That should be where you're allowed to toe the line. You can't in real life. That's why you do an art, in my opinion, you know? So,
yeah, I think like we were kind of talking about the parody films and stuff, like the horror genre, that was the easiest and best genre to do parody films over. And then they just started doing epic movie, disaster movie, another teen movie, like all these movies that is like it got to a point where they started making parody films over like comedy movies. It's like, this doesn't even work. Like the movie was already silly.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing that once they got too outlandish, like the parody films, what they didn't realize is like, okay, your movie 25 years from now, it's going to disappear. The original thing that you're making fun of, it's probably going to survive. Yeah. So, you know, I mean, I guess we have seen a few this year. I don't know if there's anything funny that came out like that I am just not thinking of. I know like a good amount of the year, like we saw, I mean, we dabbled into some of the superhero stuff too. Like we saw Fantastic Four First Steps. We saw Superman. I don't know what everybody thought of those, but
they're
thumbs up.
Solid.
I mean, from where both of those places were, like it's a little bump back up. I mean, the Fantastic Four, you know, it's leading into Avengers Doomsday.
Yeah.
So you're like, let me go watch so I know what's happening. Also, it wasn't the shittiest Fantastic Four.
No. Yeah. Was that the Miles Teller one? Yeah. Yeah, that's
I've heard a lot of people hate on that movie. I don't even think I ever saw that one. The one that came out in like the mid 2010s or whatever. Yeah. No, I don't. Yeah. I don't think. Yeah. See, I've heard so much hate on it that I'm like, I'm not even gonna waste my time watching this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's honestly one of the better Superman movies. Like the original first couple were obviously like that is Superman. I didn't think Returns was bad. It kind of continued the Christopher Reeves feeling kind of story. Man of Steel took a lot darker of a take, but this almost felt like it kind of like took it back to the original Superman, you know, like all the bright colors and felt like a comic book brought to life kind of, and that was cool.
I'm going to stick up for Henry Cavill for a second here. I actually think, I'm not saying the movies, I'm saying his portrayal of Superman was good. I think that was exactly what, I mean, yeah, it did have like a darker tone to it, but I think that was exactly, in a way, if you look at it through this lens, like people were like, oh, he was wooden as Superman. He was this. People also said the same as Val Kilmer as Batman, or like, Michael Keaton in certain aspects, other people like that. But it's just like, shouldn't he be a little bit wooden in a sense that he's misunderstood? Nobody on Earth can relate to him and his abilities and like what he has. So how is he's not going to react to things the same way a human being with no superpowers would? You know what I mean? The problem was it sort of felt like the beginning of that was very the first time I saw the Man of Steel trailer, like the night that the Dark Knight Rises came out, like when I went to go see the marathon back in 2012. It felt like the Man of Steel trailer. It was like, oh, this is going to be sort of like Christopher Nolan's version. I mean, obviously he didn't make Man of Steel, but it was sort of like that feeling universe with that. And then like once Superman got made, obviously they brought out Affleck's Batman, and that Batman did way more crazy stuff than Christopher Nolan's, Batman did, because it was more ground in reality, which is what Man of Steel to me felt like it was going to be at first, But I think his portrayal was great. I mean, it wasn't his fault that Black Adam bombed. So, I mean, I saw it. I wanted to give The Rock a shot there. But
Man, he tried so hard.
He did.
He promoted that movie so hard.
He put so much, just like Red One too, like last year, he put so much money in all these movies. How are they possibly going to make the money back if it doesn't have? You can do that whenever it's got Superman or Star Wars or whatever attached to it, but I don't know how many casual viewers actually knew who, Black Adam or even Shazam. Like, I guess a lot of people do know who Shazam is, but, before going into it. But he's just like, no, I want to play this part. And then they brought back Henry Cavill Superman. And then once the box office performed the way it was, they're like, yeah, we're moving on.
Yeah. And now, The Rock, was it the Smashing Machine?
I saw that too. That was one of his best roles of all time.
Benny Safdie or whatever. Like, yeah, anybody that's seen it said that it's a great acted movie. It's the best Rock performance of his career, but it made no money at all.
Yeah, it wasn't a box office movie.
Now they're saying, oh, well, Rock, he tried that. He tried doing the actor thing. He should go back to being an action star. It's like, that wasn't working at the end either. Did
anybody get a chance to see the Smashing Machine?
No, it's on my list, but I've heard nothing but good things.
It was really good. Emily Blunt's great in it too. What's that? Oh yeah. There's nothing bad I have to say about the movie, but his performance was absolutely the stick out point of the movie. You know what I mean? It was absolutely worth watching just based on that, I think.
It was the best performance acting wise of his career. So, I mean, I'd be interested to check it out. It just, it wasn't one that I was rushing to the theaters to see or anything.
Yeah, it's.
Best actor nod out of it?
I think he might. I don't think he's going to.
He might get a nomination. He might get. Yeah.
I have to say that they go back and look at all the movies that have come out and see who would be in that category.
Yeah.
From what I'm hearing from people, because it's such a drastic turn from what he's used to doing to something like that, they would probably just give him
Yeah.
I hope they at least give him the nod of having a nomination. You know what I mean? I don't know if he'll actually win it, but it's how much you want to believe in the Oscars too and the integrity of that award show.
Half the movies and actors and actresses and people that are up for awards at the Oscars, and I watch a lot of movies. I'm nobody
even knows.
Even know this movie at all.
It made 5 million quietly at an independent theater. And that's what gets nominated.
It was played at 8 art house theaters on the West Coast, and they're it's getting a nod.
I'm not saying of course superhero films you're not going to get a best actor necessarily for that. An exception to the rule was a movie that wasn't very superhero like, but I always refer to as the last time it really felt, unless I'm missing somebody in the last several years, that somebody won it because their job was that good, was whenever Joaquin Phoenix played Joker, and that was an incredible performance, and it felt so raw and so real. That movie, if you watch that just through a standard, casual viewing lens, it makes you, because it's kind of through his perspective, it's a cringy, you're ooh, it makes you feel something. And that's the kind of stuff that I want to watch. Whether it makes me laugh, whether it makes me cry, whether it makes me happy, whatever. I want to watch something that's going to connect with me on that level, you know?
So we were talking earlier about, companies not taking chances on newer movies and franchise, things like that. If Markiplier's Iron Lung goes well, do you think that's going to make smaller companies like Lionsgate used to be take more shots on newer movies? Or I know he's got a movie coming out, he's pretty much doing the whole thing himself. If it does well, do you think that might have a chance to turn the landscape away from the same franchise?
Man, I hope.
I hope so.
Yeah, I keep thinking that too, that it just feels like it's all it's going to take is one
Domino to
kind
fall.
of independent film director to come in and kind of like have a film that's successful. Like, not saying like Tarantino, but like a Tarantino type that just has a crazy, compelling, original story and it does well. Like, I feel like if one guy or girl can break through like that, it's probably going to open up the floodgates, you know? They're going to allow a lot more filmmakers to try things out. And like you said, we're just kind of stuck in this era right now of just franchises and nostalgia and reboots and like, and not that I don't get excited about some of it, because there's certain franchises and things that I'm a big fan of that when I see come back, I'm like, oh, awesome. But that's not all I want, like give me some original stuff.
Yeah, I just don't like when if there's creative barriers put on things. And also we're still in this kind of like what you were saying, like this midst of time where we're enjoying and soaking up all the nostalgia stuff, yet we can't cross certain lines. It kind of like locks you in a place where you can only move so far if they're not willing to invest in these movies or like, some really spectacular, like original idea somebody might have, which is another reason why like it's been decades since we got like a lot of the, aside from the David Gordon Green trilogy, we got like the Michael Myers or Freddy or Jason, anything. That's why I always think that's why we should support the Terrifier series, because it's like the new thing that breaks a lot of the rules, but it's still got like huge, it's plastered on everything. Like people get excited. Like Art the Clown was here last year, David Howard Thornton. And it's really cool for stuff like that to emerge that become big, because they were something that the production companies chose to invest in after it. The first one was made for hardly anything compared to what the next two took. I mean, like, shoot, you look at something like Paranormal Activity when that came out. It was only like a $10,000 to $30,000 budget. They made I don't know how many million off of it, and like 8 sequels.
Movies. Found footage horror you can make for like no money at all.
Yeah,
just a camera, like an iPhone camera, and like black out the lighting and stuff and make it look like it's nighttime. You're like, oh, open a cabinet.
It is cool to see things expanded upon that you didn't think you'd probably ever get. Like we were talking about on the way here with our friend. We saw It Chapter 1 and 2 in 2017 and 2019, and then they roll out this Welcome to Derry series. I don't know if anybody's watched any of that on HBO Max. It's actually not too bad, because like
cool. Yeah.
That one, the movies of course started in their obviously renewal of like the Tim Curry ones. They did in those years, 2017, 2019, and then they roll out this show years later. Since that story took place in 1989, they're going back 27 years every time Pennywise appeared, from then back to 1962, back to 1935, back to 1908. Each season's going to be a different year, for like basically all these kids getting terrorized by him. So it's probably going to end badly for everybody, given the fact that they don't stop him until 1989 when they face him.
Yeah, considering it's a prequel story and we know that this guy comes back in the 80s, it feels like they can't win.
they can we know how it's going to turn. It's kind of like whenever they came out with Rogue One, you look at it and you're like, oh man, well, this is a great movie. Of course, before the end they all got to die because nobody's in A New Hope.
Yeah.
But it was a great movie nonetheless. Like I thought, next to we always talk, I feel like, a little bit of Star Wars on here, but like I thought once they made The Force Awakens and they like knocked it out of the park with Rogue One, I was like, oh man, this is going to be a great trilogy. This is going to be that's what I thought after they pulled it out from under us. I was like, oh boy. And then, we got The Last Jedi.
Just kind of, they slipped on that slope with The Last Jedi. They're like, oh, they fell a little bit down the mountain. and they caught themselves, and then Rise of Skywalker, they just fell off the cliff. So.
That's going to be.
I can't fully blame JJ because he probably had a layout in his head. This is 7, this is 8, this is 9. And then Ryan Johnson got 8, and he just threw everything out the window and did what he wanted to do. And then they're like, hey, JJ, you get 9 again. And he's like, well, my entire idea is scrapped. Yeah. So,
yeah, it's like, how are we supposed to get the car back on the cliff after it fell to its death right after this? But that hurt personally because, like, that is a franchise more than almost any other franchise in the history of film, like, that I hold pretty close. So I was like, it didn't settle in until years after that you're like, man, this is permanent, and this is what they did to the saga.
I know, because when it was coming out, you know, we were getting groups of friends together. We were going to the theaters to see it, talking about it. So there was kind of some excitement of like, oh, there's a new Star Wars content. Let's get the band together and go. But yeah, now that it's been a number of years, you're kind of just like, man, that was kind of trash.
It did. There were some things that were like pleasant about it, but like the Yoda cameo whenever he came back and teach Luke another lesson in The Last Jedi. When there was a few things that were pretty cool. I'm not trying to sound like all of it I despise. Like, I loved going to see them and enjoying the experience with our friends, obviously, but I don't think they're going to age as good. Some people are like, you just wait and see. They'll be as well regarded as the prequels were. And I'm like, not from where I'm sitting, not from the people I know, and definitely not from, my own constitution as far as Star Wars goes.
I think it's also because
I love the prequels.
We're all grown.
Yeah.
Like when we were kids when the prequels came out, and a lot of the adults that were kids when the originals came out were like, oh, the prequels suck. They trashed on the prequels, and us as kids were like, the prequels are awesome. And now the kids of this, current generation are probably going to be like, the sequel trilogy is great. And all the Star Wars fans that are adults are like, the worst.
Yeah. It always seems to go that way a lot of the time, though, because you look at music too, and everybody's like, "Oh man, that was great stuff that we that we grew up with." And then everybody today that's like a little older, including us, now we're like looking at some of the stuff that's coming out, and we're like, "What the hell is this stuff?"
I mean, everything when you were a kid and a teenager is the best thing in your mind, and it always will be.
And anybody that tries to mess with it, you're like, "No way, you don't like that." Yeah. It does make me wonder, though, because I'm like, I just wish they would take chances more, but I think they like to focus on the proven commodities because they know that's going to attract a certain number. I just wish integrity in this world still mattered, because then they'd be like, well, wait a minute, instead of potentially doing damage to this thing, let's just create our own original new project.
So I kind of feel bad for the current generation of kids, because it's like they don't have any big original like movies or content or shows, and it's a lot of nostalgia, so we can poke fun at these kids when they become adults and be like, no, you guys didn't have anything cool, you just did everything we already did, not as good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Oh shoot,
man.
You got anything for us, Gene?
Yeah, Gene, you've been ultra quiet over here. You're our door guy.
Oh, man.
So, do you guys think that A24 and Neon are kind of moving forward allowing for more original content at a lower increment?
It feels that way sometimes, because a lot of the best movies I feel like I've seen the last few years have come out of the A24 production of things, Like, there's some great stuff they've made. And, like, obviously, as big wrestling fans, wasn't the Iron Claw an A24 movie? You guys watched that. Yeah. Of course, same thing with this dairy thing. We all knew how that was going to end. We all knew where that was going to go.
I know. I kind of thought that in my head. I'm like, I really wonder if anybody went to go see that movie that didn't know the Von Erich story and was just like,
oh, they were in for a rude awakening.
This is a punch in the heart.
Yeah. Yeah, like the first hour, it's just like showing the brothers and like their cohesiveness and like them, just doing things together and going out and having a good time. It was like, oh, this is going to be a real rough landing for the people that don't know this whole story. And of course, like they kind of combine stuff in that with, like I guess it was Chris Von Erich, like they kind of combined elements of how him and Mike went out together, because I guess they didn't want to go back and explain that story. They wanted Mike to be looked at as like, oh, he was the youngest brother in like this way. So they didn't even involve Chris. And obviously they lost a brother even before Kevin was the second oldest. It was Jackie. He died, like electrocuted himself, and he was like 7 maybe. Yeah, it was something crazy like that. It was
See, that almost just
that
if
family.
you have a death in the family like that, and then all the other stuff too, it's like I really would think our family is cursed.
Oh yeah, it definitely seemed like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I met him actually years ago in World League Wrestling in the Lake of the Ozarks, whenever Harley was running all that down there. I actually got a chance to meet him and take a picture with Kevin. It was really cool, but he's in Hawaii living his own life in solitude and around beautiful nature, and I'm like, well, you deserve at least that to go.
He moved all of his family down there with him too, on his property, like his son.
Oh yeah, his sons are going to be wrestlers. His sons are wrestlers too. So
yeah, he I saw some documentary. He's like, yeah, I keep my family close because it's really important to me. I'm like, I would imagine so.
Yeah. Well, he said that he's just like, I'm going to rebuild the whole thing. I'm going to get a farm, a place. I'm going to have everybody and he had a lot of grandkids, and that's exactly what's going on now. Now he's got a huge family again because he built it from the ground up. So yeah, it's that was a great one. I know there's some other A24 movies I'm probably not even thinking about that I've watched the last couple of years.
It felt like the first few years I knew about that studio, it was like I knew of them because of horror. And yeah, these last number of years, I'll flip a movie on that's like a drama or a comedy or something and be like, oh, this is A24 too?
Wasn't Dream Scenario that Nicolas Cage movie an A24 movie? I think it was. Yeah. What'd you guys think of that? That was a wild movie too. Yeah. Honestly, I'm not saying he's my number one or anything, but he is severely underrated. He can play a great role and convince you. In Long Legs, he was in that. Yeah. It was tremendous.
So I mean, I really started to appreciate Nick Cage in his older career because he's really taken on character roles. He was in Long Legs, he was Dracula. That dude in Dreams, and he's about to be John Madden,
National Treasure biopic. He was in all those.
Did you see his transformation as John Madden?
Yeah, I saw a side-by-side of it. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
When is that supposed to come out?
I think sometime in 2026.
Oh, man. See, next year, this is what I'm excited about. Avengers Doomsday comes out next year. Mandalorian and Grogu come out in late May. Scream 7 comes out in late February. We've got some heavy hitters coming up here soon if you're still, staying up. I think there's still a couple more movies I've not watched, but otherwise I'm pretty caught up.
Yeah. I mean, how can you? It's almost impossible, it feels like, to stay caught up with Marvel unless that's all you're going to watch. It felt like that for a while with just the number of shows. I kept up with the movies through Endgame, and then it's all the series that just dropped. I'm like, I'm out.
Kind of not focusing on quality instead of quantity. Yeah, I think that is a good move. The same thing with Star Wars is it's not that we didn't want all this stuff, but for a minute, after Disney took it over and then we got Mando, it came out the first season, which was excellent. Second season was excellent. It felt like they just shoved all the rest at once. You know what I mean? And not that some of it wasn't good. The Bad Batch was good. Obi-Wan, who's my favorite character, but the show is not perfect. I really hope to see, I think they're rebooting a lot of it though, going into 2030, they're going to make a lot of different decisions for the franchise. So it'll be kind of interesting to see what they do, going forward, because I'd love to see stories around the council, that Mace Windu and Yoda were in, that people that we've never seen really stories about aside from the Clone Wars here and there. I'd love to see stuff with Kit Fisto and Plo Koon and
they should do some old Republic stuff. For sure.
Yeah.
Just prequel it all the way back.
That too. Well, they were going to show Darth Plagueis finally with the Acolyte, and then they're like, nope, it's not getting renewed. they ended it showing Plagueis and Yoda, and they're like, no, nobody wants to see that. It's like it's the best thing I've seen this whole series.
It's because
Yeah.
it's because I think it's because the series itself tanked and people were just
Yeah.
like trashing it, and then they left us on like the best cliffhanger of any of the series is basically, and then they're like, okay, we're canceling this one.
My problem is after the Emperor eliminated all these Jedi, like we never got to a place in actual canon where like they built it up again. They're like, oh, here's another 500 Jedi. They all got slaughtered, and we haven't seen many since then.
Yeah.
You know, Luke, Ahsoka's still out there, people like that. You know,
Well, I mean, you really can't. Like
somebody's got to
once
train them.
you
That's what they
tell
should have
that
done in the
story-
sequels.
Yeah, once you tell that story and you knock all of them off, it's like, I mean, that's kind of that.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I think Old Republic stuff would be neat because it would bring back like so many Jedi and just things that we literally have not seen at all outside of like some books and stuff like that.
We have seen some, like occasionally. That's why I wish they could tell live action stories like they do some of these like animated ones. Like the Clone Wars was brilliantly written, and like the Bad Batch was great too. And that's one that I didn't think it was gonna be bad, but I didn't know if it was gonna be as interesting as it was. And I was like, man, this is like it actually feels cinematic. Like it actually feels like they took their time. And I'm like, this should not be the way it is. Why are they putting their thoughts, their creativity, their time, and their nuance into the animated show? And the live action show, they're sending it out, and it's just like it doesn't feel like the script is as buttoned up as it should be. Yeah.
I will say, Andor, when that series first came out,
Mhm.
a lot of people weren't fans of it.
Mhm.
Like it's so slow, but season 2 wraps up, and a lot of people are saying this is probably some of the best.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's more because of Acolyte failing in season 3 of Mando and things like that, kind of on the downside. But people are praising Andor now. It's just a story about everything except Jedi's and Sith.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that stuff can be, from my personal fandom, I'd like to see some more stories involving Jedi. But as far as all of it, if we get something good with great characters and a great storyline, I don't care what it revolves around. I just want to see it, you know? Great. It's a great movie. Now, immediately, I don't know about you guys, but like that's your favorite out of everything now, including all the original. Okay. What Rogue One really did too, that made me feel like I was like, that was spectacular, because at the end of Rogue One, all I want to do is watch A New Hope, the original. I'm like,
Takes you
that,
right into the
if
original.
anything, Rogue One elevated the original. If anything, I would say.
And I mean, really, that's what a prequel should do. Like if you're not going to make a prequel that elevates the original story, don't even bother making a prequel, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a cool movie too, just because they kind of went different places and did different stuff with it. That's what's such a hard balance with a prequel, though, is like adding in your own original story while still honoring what was the original story.
Yeah.
You know,
and not betraying like certain truths about the characters that we knew from before, like, not making it like it not being and it not being like a conflict of interest to the story either. I hate whenever they're like, oh well, actually this is how it went. It's like, no, this is not what we've been led to believe all these years. Don't try to pull it out from under us now.
yeah.
But
I always find, I know I just feel like I'm really crapping on Disney, but it does feel like Disney does that a lot too, where they'll do the pull the rug from under you moment all the time, where it's like, oh, you thought this was the guy, it was actually he's more evil than this guy, like they just add in a new character.
I don't like this villain forgiveness era that we're going through either, where they're just like, well, we've talked about it before, and like I just have so many complaints about that, because some of them will go in and like, I know it was an easy target, where I mentioned Cruella the other night, but
and
they're
I
like,
think that movie was horrible.
No, Cruella was fine. This is my thing, is they're like, yeah, she was bad, but actually this person was a lot worse. It's like, if she was a lot worse, the story would have revolved around her in the first place. It wouldn't revolve around the person that we actually know as the villain, So I'm like, I don't like whenever it undermines the villain's motivation to be the heinous person we knew them as in the first place. You know what I mean? Like, because it's like, you can't make them look that good. Otherwise, how do they make sense as the villain anymore? You know what I mean?
They like turned her into hero of that movie, basically. And it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, this is the same lady that is the old hag in 101 Dalmatians trying to kill Dalmatians for a fur, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Smoking cigarettes and driving her car like crazy around town. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, the thing is like all of this stuff had to get us in the door to become fans in the first place. Whenever you really care, you don't want anything to undermine like its integrity, its creative like output, like how good this thing can actually be. And I mean, it is possible that a lot of people are just way more critical because we see everybody's opinions all the time about everything online. So it's hard not to see it, whether something is good or bad. I've probably this year publicly, I've seen so much film criticism though, like all around, like people not even giving a movie a shot. If they're like, oh, I heard that was terrible. I'm like, my view is, why don't you go see it? You judge it for yourself. You know what I mean?
just less people are even going out to the theater and giving movies a chance, though. That's the thing.
Mhm.
Like, theaters are desperately trying to get people back in, $5 Tuesdays and stuff like.
Yeah. We went so as far this year is to like movies that I haven't seen in 15, 20 plus years. They came out with a lot of re-releases, and I'm like, you know what? It's like I've watched this in my, as we all have, I'm sure, like however many times in the last decade or two. I'm gonna go to the theater to watch it though again because I wanted that feeling. Like we took a big group, Gene was with us, back in April, towards the end of April, to go see Revenge of the Sith for the 20th anniversary because that I'm probably gonna catch heat for that. This is my favorite Star Wars movie, period. Revenge of the Sith, love it. And yeah, I just think I disagree with whenever people say Hayden Christensen didn't improve over Attack of the Clones. I think his acting got much better. It's not flawless in 3, but it got much better from 2. People don't realize that 2 was his first acting performance. Like it was the first movie he was ever in. And
You can tell. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Well, sand is coarse and yeah.
Yeah, he was vastly better in 3.
My favorite scene of the movie. No, I'm kidding.
It's like it was so compelling when he was talking about sand.
Yeah. Oh man.
No, I think a lot of the big reason that we're getting all these villain forgiveness stories though is because of the Joker. Because Joker was so successful.
I didn't view that as a villain forgiveness movie. It was through his lens. If you watch it back, and you'll see, you're like, oh wow, so he actually does look at somebody that's rich like Thomas Wayne, and you're like, you can't even help the city, or you can't, and he called out the things, and like, I mean, I'll go saying like one of the best just 20 minutes in a movie theater I've had ever, especially in the last several years, was like that last act of Joker. It was amazing. It was from his speech on the Murray Franklin show to everything that happened after,
awesome.
to the riots, and then like the whole like cult, them like rising up and kind of portraying him as their like cult leader in a way. I was like, that was just amazing cinema. And the movie just, it took you for a ride. And I just now, a year later, I just kind of act like the second one never came out.
Yeah, that was a big, big swing and a miss.
I'm not a big fan of musicals.
When they first announced it, I'm like, this has got to be a joke.
Yeah. No pun intended.
Really be doing this.
It's because, Todd Phillips, he had mainly been known as the guy who made kind of raunchy comedy movies, and he took a real gamble and roll of the dice with Joker, and it really, really worked, and people loved it. So he's like, well, I'm just going to keep gambling, keep rolling the dice. Let's make the next Joker a musical. And it was like, that was not the gamble to take.
Man. Yeah, that just I kind of acted like we saw Terrifier 3 the next week, and then it was the election. So I'm like, well, we can just knock that off the thing. So basically now we can just act like that didn't happen. Joker 2, which it didn't. We all know that Joker was a solo film that actually was a great one. So rest in peace to that mic, though.
We can act like that didn't happen too.
Oh man, no, actually, it's gonna be funny because it's live right now. People are tuning in. Oh shoot!
They're even laughing at you. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, they should. They should. I'll call them out on here and I'll say they said something stupid. Oh man. Yeah.
So you talk about the nostalgia and all the rebooting and things like that, but given how none of them are doing as well as they should or when they for a newer audience, not for the song. There might be one being the Crow remake. How they completely changed that story.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you continue to beat the drum of something if you're either able to change it or B, try to catch the nostalgia and still fail at that?
I think,
Money.
yeah, it's just attempting to make $1. Like I think The Crow in general, though, that was just a bad idea from the get-go. Like
Something about that one, and I've seen a lot of the other remakes. I've seen a lot of the other, ones that I liked, ones that I didn't like. Like I liked the Friday the 13th remake, didn't like the Nightmare one, liked Rob Zombie's Halloween. Those are some controversial opinions to some people right there, but that's how I viewed those. But something about the Crow one, and I realized they made movies in the 90s after Brandon Lee. Something about that just felt gross. I was like, I don't want to see this remade into somebody that's not him after the way that ended for him, and he got killed on set.
A lot of people felt.
It just felt distasteful, and I say that as somebody that really likes Bill Skarsgård, and I'm like, that's just not enough. I'm not going to watch that.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think Bill Skarsgård or Zoe Kravitz were at all the problem with that movie.
No.
I just don't think that movie should have been made,
No. This exact same thing as Joker 2. Exact same. It wasn't Lady Gaga wasn't awful, even though she shouldn't have been in it whenever you look at the script, because she didn't make a difference either way. They're like, well, actually, she's not a fan and she doesn't like him. It was like, why would she even be in the story? I don't know.
My big thing with that one is that if you follow any of the storylines of every Crow is different. Why would you not continue on with a different one? Why would you go back to Eric Draven of all things?
I know.
And the problem is he's not Eric Draven. So it's like he's not people don't want that. Like
I think what's wild to me is it seems like almost anybody could have told them before they even started production of that movie, oh, this is going to tank, because there's people the original Crow hold that very highly also because of what happened to Brandon Lee. So ever trying to remake that story or touch that, it's going to be a flop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I know. I love it when people get this passionate about it, though, because that's what I feel too.
It's just they're fans of this franchise from back in the day. We know we can get them in the seats possibly.
Yep.
Because we're telling this story. All you do is just enrage them.
Yeah, it's easier to get them back in the seats if you don't offend them.
Yeah. See,
They're like, well, it's back. We got it in here. We can't do a sequel because now we know how they feel about it.
oh yeah, and see,
See all the angry faces walking out of the theater. You're like, yeah, I don't think we're making another.
going back to horror for a second and talking about Halloween. Whenever we went to go see the 2018 one, and all of us went opening night, it was the biggest group I've ever went with for a movie. And I was very impressed because they did a sequel / reboot, however you want to look at it, because obviously they took into consideration number one, didn't take into consideration number two, which I'll get to that in a second. But they did that, and then they're like, man, they did so many things right that were pleasing to fans of the original, and that was actually a well-done story. And let's see how this trilogy goes, which is a little bit similar how we felt with the Star Wars sequels. Almost exactly, actually.
Slipping down the slope every movie.
And the thing is when you look at it, one of the absurdities that I found at the Halloweens was not to mention it kind of went off the rails with kills and then ends in ways. Not to say that there weren't aspects of those I liked, because I did. But it felt like her kind of hysteria, Laurie's, it was okay, if you're only taking the first movie into account, she's this reactive. And I'm not saying this overreactive. Yeah, good call. I'm not saying somebody that goes through that kind of thing. Michael Myers killed what? 4 people, 5 people, 3 or 4 people, and then his sister way before that, back in the 78 version. But if you only take that story into account, he never followed her to the hospital, which they did because then it would take into account Laurie and Michael are brother and sister, and they didn't want to add that aspect into it. So they're just we're going to act like that didn't happen.
What would it have changed just to say,
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, they're it literally would have changed nothing about that trilogy if they would have just said that they were siblings.
No, they could have just been like, well, that was something that people said, but it's not. They could have just played it off like they counted to. Because my point is how much more brutal and understandable Lori's like hysteria would have been if she had gone through the events of 1 and 2 versus just 1. Because I'm not trying to reduce it or say that, these things might not be traumatic, or like if it was, real life, obviously, you're going to still think about it all the time. But in the grand scheme of things, and I'm not trying to sound like non-emotional saying this, but like in the grand scheme of things, if you're only taking the first movie into account, it was one night 40 years ago. And that's what you're gonna be this, upheaval about.
Ruined her entire relationship with her
exactly.
kid.
She had 27 locks in the door. She had like a whole arsenal inventory. She had all this stuff. It was just like, you didn't act like this in H2O 20 years later.
Yeah.
You didn't act this absurd. So how are you gonna convince
she had
me?
like a fan. She had like a son and was holding it down just fine in H2O, and that was taking 2 into account.
Yeah. And but I know with the story, if you go by that aspect, she thought he was dead because at the end of 2, it looked like it after he swung his knife, 57 times around and got caught on fire and everything. But like still in the original, like those things will have happened. I just think the way they presented her in 2000, that was one of my only complaints about the 2018 one, though. I mean, I loved the 2018 one. It was far better than Kills and Ends. I don't know what you guys thought about that one. Yeah. Which one do you like the most, Gene? The 2018 one? First one. Yeah. Kills was good, and then you're like, oh, yeah, except they spent half the movie chasing down that guy that looked like Oswald Cobblepot.
Spent chasing Penguin around thinking it's Michael Myers.
Yeah. Well, and then that dude
that whole evil dies tonight. That got a little old after a while.
I think it's to show the stupidity, for lack of better words, of mob mentality. And that's everybody starts believing one thing. They're like, oh, go get this guy. Oh, okay. Nobody sees him. Nobody knows what he looks like. But they all follow the crowd just by their own ignorance, And I do think that was a way to portray that. But I also think it made the second one kind of awkward because you were going to be left with either a cliffhanger ending or an ending that was kind of inconclusive because it's the middle movie and we all knew that we were going to get 3.
Yeah, I think David Gordon Green just needs to step away from horror for a while. It was like a downhill slope all the last 3. Like Halloween 2018, great. Kills, okay. Ends, not great. Exorcist Believer, pretty bad. So it's just like, just take a break. Make another comedy movie, bro.
Yeah. Did anybody like Exorcist Believer, though? No.
It just felt like they've made so many modern possession movies the past 20 years. It just felt like another one of those. It like didn't have a whole lot to me that felt like, oh, this is The Exorcist, besides bringing Ellen Bernstein back just to get destroyed. I'm like,
yeah, they're like, this lady, those events from 1973, she was there, and then she got killed like 14 minutes later.
Like, she was there, now we're going to stab her eyes out. It's like they should have not even they shouldn't have made another one unless they could have got Reagan McNeil back in there.
Yeah. Oh, here's the part where we just get really opinionated.
That's been the whole time.
Oh, that's true. That's true. What was that? Or like
I was gonna say I do not believe that I've seen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's never good.
I heard that they were actually going to make another Exorcist movie again, and this time they're trying it with Mike Flanagan.
Well, didn't they spend like an absurd amount on that property?
Yeah,
which is way more than it's ever going to make back.
I mean, I have more faith in Flanagan probably than DGG at this point, David Gordon Green, because there's been a handful of Mike Flanagan properties that I'm like, oh, that was good and that was scary.
Yeah.
And I can only really say that about one David Gordon Green movie.
You know what the real
yeah.
problem is? We could take this full circle again. David Gordon Green. You know what he should go back to? Oh, look, here comes the R-rated comedies. He was good at that.
That's what I'm
he
saying.
could do
Make
that.
another comedy. Do Pineapple Express again, bro.
Yeah.
They make a sequel to that.
That time when all those like Rogan, Franco, McBride, all those movies are coming out, I'm like, I didn't think any of these great comedies were ever gonna end. I was like, we're just spoiled now. Like all these came out, like the whole Sandler era, all the American Pie movies, all those like frat pack guys like Vince Vaughn, Owen Wilson, Luke Wilson, Jack Black. It was like we got so many great movies from like the 2000s into the 2010s.
Yeah, it felt like Franco and Rogan really were kind of the last duo, like making theater release comedy movies. Kind of like felt like it fell off after they had their falling out, kind of.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. It. I don't know. I hope we see like a comedy resurgence in that way.
Hope we just see a resurgence for film in general, like we were talking. Just give me some original stuff again, just across all the genres.
Maybe we should talk about, before we wrap up anyway, to talk about some new things that we actually really enjoyed that came out the last year or two.
Okay.
I mean, this year, I guess we talked a little. We're like, we talked a little bit about the Fantastic Four and Superman, which were both. I thought they were both good. You said you liked the Monkey.
I thought the Monkey was awesome.
I don't know if everybody saw the Monkey.
Well, the Monkey was really good. I thought, honestly, both the Black Phones were good. Again, though, that's kind of just going back to horror. Like, there's been a lot of horror released the last handful of years that I did think was really good. And this year, yeah, like Superman and Fantastic Four, had fun seeing those in theaters. But I'd have to even look at my list of movies I've seen in theaters this year because it's been like 15 or 16. I can't really remember all of them.
Oh, yeah, it's getting up there. Well, what are you thinking?
We did it again.
We did. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming in here.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Anybody have any? Thank you very much. Yeah. Anybody have any questions before we wrap out of here? I guess in just over a month, it's going to be John Cena's last match, so we got to brace ourselves for that.
Some tears may be shed.
I don't think we're like in that mentality yet, but like the few days before it, it's going to settle in on us. We'll be like, we're never going to see this dude wrestle again.
What was your thought in Elimination Chamber of the initial heel turn? Did you think that was going to lead to something?
Oh, I thought it was
fantastic.
The initial heel turn was awesome the night
Yeah, the night of, and like the same as like Sting's WWE career. It was like, oh man, he's debuting. Little did we know that was going to be the highlight.
Yep.
That was going to be the highlight.
And then Rock's like, oh, I felt like my job was done here. It's like you interjected yourself in the biggest story of the year.
Hey, but don't forget Travis Scott. He saved it. No, I'm kidding.
Travis Scott gave Cody Rhodes a busted eardrum that night.
No, that I thought of the year so far, I really enjoyed Chamber and I really enjoyed SummerSlam. I thought some parts of Mania were lesser than, and I did think last year's was a little better. But I really hope the amount of giving that Cena has brought to WWE these last 20 to 25 years, I really hope they give him a good send-off. A great send-off would be preferable. I don't know how I feel about it being at Saturday night's main event. Hopefully he doesn't get, shorted like Uncle Bill did.
Yeah. Hopefully he doesn't get his speech cut off.
I was pissed about that. Yeah, he was like, he let everybody know like immediately when that was over that he was unhappy with it.
Yeah.
It was like, Bill, you're never going to get a better send-off than that ever.
That was the best Goldberg match in like
it was
a decade.
It was like the longest of his career, I think, wasn't it? Or like the second longest, something like that.
So yeah, probably the best Goldberg match in 2 decades, if we're being honest here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like he should be. You would think he would be happy, but at the end of the day, it's like you've had a career off of being really, really hot in 1998. So like you should probably.
Yeah, it was like a 12 to 15 month bubble where he was the man.
Yeah.
And he's just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they'll do Cena better too, because at the end of the day, even if Vince was still running things, of course, it probably would have gone that bad or worse if it was Goldberg, because he's a WCW guy, pal.
Can't give them any.
And Lord knows we can't have one of those guys looking good. That's why Sting got shorted too. Oh man, we're just talking all kinds of crap up here. But no, this is, yeah, come back and forth. But no, I think it'll be fun. I think Gunther would be a good send-off match for him. I just hope they do right by by Cena. So, well, alrighty, let's do it. Let's for real wrap it up this time.
All right.
Alrighty, thank you for everybody for tuning in, for having us, for watching at home. If you want a hoodie, let us know. We're gonna put it in order pretty soon here. So this has been the CapeCon 2025 edition of Casting a Spotlight. Thank you all very much.